Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Hunted Podcast. I am AJ Cox. Next to me, as always, is Levi Mason, Brett Curry, and Chris Donovan. If you want to see what we're up to, make sure you go and follow us on Instagram, YouTube, and you can find us on all of them by going through and looking up The Hunted. We're also going through and selling some items. You can go through and get a hold of us. We got some here. If you're interested and we don't have them, we're also going to try to go through and take one big order here and there and go through and try to get one big thing, so we're not just ordering kind of one here, one there, and all that good stuff. And then we'll try to get them to you guys as quick as we can. We're doing, what do we got? We got koozies, we got some tumblers, some hats, stickers, yep, and things like that. So something, to go through and show your guys' support would be greatly appreciated. Then we're going to get to the part here to where we're going to give our thank you and shout out to any type of first responder or military. We'd like to go through and just do a easy moment of silence, just because of the simple reason that without military, first responders of any kind, we wouldn't be able to do this the way that we are, good and free, especially if you watch even your local news. I mean, things are absolutely getting crazy. So this is just our way of saying thank you. If you have somebody that is in the military or first responder and you want to have us give them a shout out, we would be more than happy to go through and do that. So if you just want to send us something on Facebook, Instagram, something like that, or if you see one of us, just tell us, and we'll absolutely be more than happy to go through and do that. Even if it's somebody that, went through and sadly passed away many, many years ago, and it was your great grandfather, and you heard wonderful stories about how amazing this man was, or, your great grandmother who it was that went through and, stitched up old grandpa and all that good stuff, make sure that he was able to get out and go do his thing. We'd be more than happy to go through and, tell them thank you, because we do greatly, greatly, greatly appreciate all military and all first responders. So we're just going to go through here and give a moment of silence for them, and then we'll be right back. All right, one more time, if you were listening to this and you were any type of military first responder, we do greatly thank you so much from the bottom of our heart. So this episode, we're going to go through and talk about, we might even break this up into 2 episodes, because we got a lot of stuff to talk about. 3 of us had a hell of a first few hours of turkey season, and then one of us decided he had to work and be responsible and couldn't go, so he messed us up on that. So if we do go through, which, like I said, I think we might have to go through and break this up into 2 parts. After you listen to this one, will be a little bit, and then we will put out the other one, and we'll get it all wrapped up, because I know that I had a crazy turkey season, and I know other people have had crazy turkey seasons. So this is, like I said, going to take us a while. So I guess we'll just kick right into it. Let's see here. We'll just let Levi start, since he's the one that decided to kill, again, minutes into first season.
Right out of the gate.
Out of the gate. So, just hand it on over to Levi and just, I guess, fill us all in with, how it went and all that good stuff. And I know, we were all texting each other and all that, and then you decided to go out, like I said, in the last two years within first season, you funded 15 minutes?
I actually had to wait for legal light on. But, no, it was crazy. That was a hell of a morning for the 3 of us. I wish Brett could have been out there and we could have done the foursome.
It would have been insane.
No, we...
That's why we shouldn't have somebody responsible on the podcast team. We need 4 irresponsible people.
Sorry about that, fellas.
No, we roosted some birds night before opening morning of our first season, and we actually had, I think 4 different toms roosted. 3 of them were roosted in the same trees, and then one was to the north. And we got set up in there right as it was breaking daylight, and I could see one of them on the limb, and started getting a little bit lighter and just gave a few soft tree yelps, and here they pitched down into the field. It was like 5:47. I can't remember what time shooting light was. We still had 15 minutes.
7:30, I think, shooting light was.
But three of them pitched down into the field, and it was still so dark out in the field. They were leery about coming, close to the corner just, for safety. Mm-hmm. And finally, as it got lighter, they came in, and it turned into kind of a shit show, and they got in gun range, and Dad and I were trying to double up, and yeah, my bird ducked behind his bird as he shot, and he shot through the tail fan of it, and it just went to hell from there. So, but we ended up getting one down, and they ended up staying in that farm for the rest of the year. They never really moved roosts much, so I was able to get back in there a little bit later, but that's another story for on down the line. But yeah, and then got him out, and I remember Dad asking me, "Oh, you heard from AJ? You heard from Chris yet?" And we were checking another farm, and next thing you know, Chris is sending a Snapchat saying that he killed one. So,
Oh yeah. So Levi puts the pressure on right out of the gate. I'm like, oh man, hunting a farm that the farm I was hunting normally wouldn't hunt it first season, but our farm we normally hunt didn't have the birds this year early, so get the pressure put on me, sitting out there with one of my buddies, and we're
having a good time because we got plenty of Snapchats of you two.
With this wing bone turkey call.
Yeah.
So we had a bird right out of the gate. I mean, probably 40 minutes off the roost, come in on the neighbors right behind us, full strut the whole time, putting on a show. And it drifts in, drifts away, drifts in. We're sitting there watching it, and my buddy Chad's like, dude, can't you just shoot that thing? I'm like, I could, but it's on the neighbors. He's like, well, who cares? Just shoot it. I'm like, well, and he's got a first season tag too. He's like, you ain't gonna shoot it. I'll shoot the motherfucker. I'm like, dude, we ain't shooting on the neighbors. He's like, so it's driving him crazy the whole time. We're sitting there and watching this bird, and finally we hear a bird to the west gobble, and I looked at him. I'm like, dude, this is the bird. This is the one that's gonna come in. Well, we had a Jake and a hen decoy out, and all of a sudden a hen pops out from the west and comes right into our field. We call it the strutting bull, and comes in the field, and I look over, and that other gobbler's checking her out. I'm like, oh shit. And next thing you know, here comes another gobbler, and he ends up going in front of the hen, leads the way to the decoys. The hen is following him, so they get to the decoys, and we're sitting there, and I'm like, Chad's like, dude, are you gonna shoot? I'm like, well, I'm waiting for this other bird to come so we both can shoot. And he's like, all right. So we waited it out for a little bit, and they just they didn't do nothing crazy, just walked around the decoys and checking shit out. And I keep looking over, well, the bird behind us disappears. I'm like, he's coming.
The one on the neighbor side?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so the bird that is in our decoys is, he's just hanging out. This bird is gobbling like crazy behind us. Well, I look over, and he comes through the fence. And so I'm like, okay, here he comes. So we're going to wait it out, try to kill two birds. Well, the gobbler that was in the decoys looked over and seen him as he came through the fence. Well, he decided he's going to take off and go check him out. The hen stayed there. So I'm like, man, I'm not wearing no tutu. I got to shoot this thing. I'm sorry, dude, but I got to shoot this thing. So I shoot. Bird hits the ground, and all of a sudden the bird that was on the neighbors is in our field now, gobbling like crazy, going nuts, and the hen just stand there looking around. I'm like, dude, this other bird's gonna come. He is coming. Well, then all of a sudden the hen decides to freak out and takes off running, runs towards that gobbler, goes right past him, and now he's like, okay, do I go beat the shit out of this bird flopping in the field, or do I chase this hen? Well, he decided to chase the hen, of course, and was gone. But so that was my morning, and then so AJ is feeling a shit ton of pressure.
Oh, big
boom,
time.
boom,
Big time.
boom, boom.
But before I get into that, I want to go through. And so when Levi was talking about him and his dad out there and how it went to straight chaos, I think the best part of this story is if you listen to any of our other podcasts, we talk about Levi's old man, dude, this dude cracks me up. So what you said, he shot through the turkey fan, right?
Yeah.
And then and you guys thought you got that bird.
Yeah, because he kind of went down, and next thing I know, like, there's another bird flying up in the air, and I look back over at the other bird, and he's just standing there, like, walking right back by me, and I just dumped him.
Right. Well, what I think was great is when we were talking about this, it was like, dude, it was like one of those fainting goats. Like, didn't hit this bird. He just kind of like said, oh shit, played possum, and just boom, fell over.
Then he's like, oh, I'm just going to nonchalantly try to sneak out of here.
Yeah.
Nobody sees
Nobody's
me.
watching. Yeah.
So it was straight craziness with that. So where I'm at, it's his property that I've hunted for a while. Levi knows about it. Dude, I mean, for no bigger than what it is, this place is loaded, absolutely loaded. So, of course, as it goes, the days out before we go, I'm sitting there watching, got my cameras out there, and there's birds just everywhere this time. So I'm like, all right, well, I went through and made a path to get into this timber because up on this top side, because we had some, was it raining about that? No, that was later. So they were going through to this top part of the timber. So I creep my fat ass up there, stepping on every twig, I swear to God, Well, I get sat down, and then these birds were all over on this kind of, I guess you'd call it a ridge, every other time. Well, they're sitting there, or I'm sitting there just waiting for them to go through like this. No, absolutely not. Of course, every time I sneak in there at nighttime, dude, they're 10 yards. I have no idea how I creep in on them, so they just start hammering right on top. So I'm like, well, unless something crazy happens, these assholes are going to be gone. So I'm sitting here more and more and more. Well, somehow, it must be because I'm a ninja, I'm sitting in the middle of like 3 of them. I mean, I'm hearing them like all around me, and I walked up through this thing, like I said, stepping on every tree branch, this and that, getting caught on thistles, cussing, dropping shit and everything. So then they end up going out into the field, pitching out, which they usually do. And so I'm like, man, whatever. Well, in years before, I'm like, man, piss on this. I'm done. You know what I mean? I'm getting into turkey hunting, blah, blah, blah. If it doesn't, I went with Levi. So if you don't kill something in the first 3 minutes, like your season's over.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's what's in my mind.
Yeah, just go back to bed at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Fuck it. We're
Exactly. Yeah. I'm not even worried about it anymore.
We're done here.
So I go through and pack my shit back up, go through, walk through. Well, I hear them out in the field hammering, and of course I'm like, well, of course they are. And they're probably walking right by where I've sat before, when I killed my one bird and all this and everything. Well, I went through and was trying to remember like when my other pictures were coming through, because there's this gate. They love this gate for whatever reason, and it's not even necessarily they don't go through the gate. They go through a hole like they made on the other side. So I'm watching the camera, or remembering the cameras, and usually it's between like 7:30 to 8:30. They kind of start meandering back. So I'm like, piss on this. So I went through, and I'm like, well, there's really no cover, but I got a ghillie suit on. And I'm like, you know what, dude, we're gonna test this hex stuff out. I mean, 100%, because I mean, my big ass is sitting next to the post and everything like this. I'm sticking out like a sore Peter, absolutely 110%. But I'm like, whatever. So I'm sitting there waiting, dude. The sun's hitting me in the face, like I can just feel myself warming up, and I'm like, this is not good. That ain't gonna happen. Then I may have fell asleep for a little bit. And
Now the true story.
yeah. I mean, I was sitting there. I was being patient.
The warm sun was hitting you.
And it was just, I was getting just in the right state of mind. So all of a sudden, I kind of do that head bob, like, oh shit, I fell asleep. And all of a sudden, way off in the distance, probably, I bet 400 or 500 yards out, I just heard way out there, and that woke me up real quick. And watching them, or I heard them, and I'm like, dude, I wonder if these are these damn birds, because it seemed like they'd go on the south neighbor's property, go through and walk, and they do one big circle and come back
The big
around.
vicious circle, yep.
So they go through, and they do that, and they start coming, and I'm like, man, like, this is awful. They're going to see me through and through. I mean, I'm just hanging out. There's no way, especially because it was them, decoys, then me. So they're looking at these decoys. They're seeing me. Like, there's just no way. So they go through, and they're doing their circle, and they're coming back through and everything. And all of a sudden, the wind blows just enough, because they circled up to the north, and they were almost going to go where I walked out of the timber. Well, that Jake just started moving I think just enough, because I saw one of those toms just like, popping their head, and all of a sudden that Jake just started moving just a little bit, dude. And I mean, it was like laser beam, just boom. I mean, looked right onto my decoy. And then the other I think there was 3 other ones with it. They all just turned and they just started beelining. And I sat there to myself and I went, holy shit, this is going to work. And they came right down this hill, coming right down towards me. And I got it on GoPro. And it doesn't really give it justice because it looks like the bird's a ways down. But distance-wise, he was probably 20, 25 yards away. But like close, how do I put this? But to my left, if we would have drew a line, dude, I bet he was like 5 yards away. Mm-hmm. I mean, he was going to come through. If he didn't, it was going to be like a Levi thing. I could have reached out and grabbed that fucker, you know, and this and that. So he came through, dude, blasted him. And between the excitement of shooting the bird and then the relief of being like, hey, at least I'm still in the game with this tutu thing, you know, especially since you two already killed. And
right out the gate, all 3 of us. I mean, we're like, okay, we're still not a tutu.
I mean, we had 3 birds down, and I was the late one.
Yeah.
And it was 8:30.
Oh, it was
8.
It was just a hair after 8, I think.
Yeah, it was something like that.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I'm down in this bull, and I can't text. I can barely send a Snapchat. I mean, that's like the only thing that works. So I'm sitting here, and I'm like, hell yeah, you know, I'm jumping around and stuff, and I'm like, man, I got to let the guys know, dude. I'm like on my phone, like not working, getting mad. I'm like, all right, screw this. I'm going to go to my truck. Dude, so I walk my big ass up this truck. Dude, it's like I've never breathed a breath in my life. Just, you know, sucking it in. Dude, get there, and I'm just jacked. And I think about that time is when I actually received Chris's Snapchat.
Yeah, because I remember you saying you're like, you had got Levi's, but you're like, then I sent my Snapchat, and you're like, oh, man, I bet he got, but you couldn't get it.
Yeah, I couldn't get it. So then I get in there, dude, it's been a long time since I've been that jacked up, dude. I was all excited because, like I said, because I got one, and then the 3 of us got one. Dude, I mean, that's a
dude. Your Snapchat, like when I watch your Snapchat, and I was with my buddy, but I watched it and I literally had goosebumps.
Yeah, it gave you chills.
You were so fucking jacked up.
yeah.
Dude,
I had goosebumps like crazy. I'm like, that's awesome.
Yeah. And then I know we were all texting Brett. Are you sure you have to go to work?
Oh yeah.
Are you sure you had to go?
So,
shouldn't you just quit your job?
All these Snapchats are coming in. I'm being a responsible adult.
Right.
Yeah,
you know, got to pay the bills. And I'm just sitting there like, okay, Levi, Chris, AJ. I'm like, I'm wearing a fucking tutu this year. So now it's second season. I'm starting to hunt. Every year I take my buddy, Trenton. So we go to one of our other farms. I'm like, dude, there's 2 toms out here that I've been seeing on camera. I'm like, we'll kill them and we'll be done. He's like, all right. So no gobbles, no nothing. I'm like, well, let's go try our other farm. This is Saturday morning, first day. And we go to the other farm, start walking around. I'm just kind of walking the bottom like I always do and just kind of yelp here and there and see if I hear a gobble. Nothing. We work all the way back to the end of the farm. And I'm like, dude, this sucks. And he couldn't hunt the next day. He had a game for his daughter's softball. And I'm like, well, I was like, let's just start picking mushrooms. He's like, all right. So we start picking mushrooms. I mean, we're finding, 15, 20, 30. And all of a sudden, just off the distance, you hear them, boom. And I'm like, oh, shit. So we run down to the bottom, kind of like exactly where I killed the one last year. Mm-hmm. Run down to this bottom, and I start calling nothing. And then out of nowhere, he's like, don't move. I was like, what? He's like, right out in front of you. Well, I didn't even have time to pull my gun up, and he was already like, he didn't see us or nothing. He just kind of drifted off, went up the hill, and I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. So I just well, maybe he got spooked. So I just did like a kiki, and then he goes, don't move. I'm like, is he back? He's like, no, there's like 4 Jakes across the creek staring at us. I'm like, oh. He's like, there's a tom right here to my left. You want me to shoot it? I'm like, well, don't take a fucking picture of it. Like, yeah, shoot it. So then he shoots his, and I'm sitting there thinking, like, I'm, jacked, pumped. Like, I shot one, but I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, I didn't shoot one. I'm like, I'm still wearing this damn tutu. I'm like, damn it. And he's like, sorry, dude, I had to shoot. I'm like, no, I said, it's on your side. That,
oh, no, I'd have been 100%. No. Our friends are done.
Yeah, no, the guy like Trenton, I would have pushed him and knocked the gun out of his hand. But I
told him I was going to, but so then we're all pumped, taking pictures, jacked up, and so Sunday I go out and I didn't hear a gobble, didn't hear nothing. I'm like,
And it was
man.
windy as shit that day,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
yeah. And I'm like, man, I am not gonna get a turkey this year because I knew after second season, like I was gonna be super busy with work. I'm
Back
like,
to responsibility
yeah.
shit. Yeah.
And I'm like, this is not gonna happen, and I'm gonna be wearing a pink freaking tutu. So I think it was like Monday or Tuesday. I wasn't gonna go out, and I think it was Tuesday, wasn't it? Yeah.
That was
Wasn't gonna
was the day you went and got fitted for your tutu, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Tuesday
yeah. I
morning?
went and got fitted. And, yeah. So I go out, start hunting, and I'm just doing my lap that I always do. I always jump back and forth both my farms, and I think it was like 10:15. I text Chris. I'm like, man, I'm gonna go try my other spot. And he's like, all right. So
You're about to give up. And I was
Yeah.
like, dude, don't fucking give up.
I was like, I don't know, man. I might just call it a day, go back home, go to work, and just it is what it is. I'll look good in that damn thing. So
Yeah. Okay. Anyway,
So I go back to my spot. I start walking down the hill, and I see just like a red head just sitting out in like this weeds. And I'm like, man, I couldn't really tell what it was. Of course, I left my binoculars in the truck, and I'm like, I'm like, maybe it is a gobbler. And I just kind of sit there and do a quick yelp, and then I hear one hammer off. I'm like, crap. I'm like, that is one. I'm like, all right. So I kind of step back, put my decoy just like right in front of me. I'm still standing there. And then I don't hear nothing. And all of a sudden, it just like sprints around this bend and then starts running up this hill. So I did my patented barrel roll into this brush. And I'm sitting there, and then the hill, I kind of lost sight of it. I'm like, man, I don't think he's coming anymore. And then like I yelped, nothing. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, he's probably gone. So I was kind of like starting to hang my head. And all of a sudden, I just see this head just pop up. I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, at this point, he's like 30 yards, but the hill, he has to get on top of the hill. And then he got like 40 yards. He kind of turned back and then went around. So then at this point, he's like 45 yards away from the decoy. He's going to make the hen work for him. So then I'm like, it's either now or never. I just kind of stuck out. Like, I don't know how I didn't fall on my ass because the way I was positioned, like shooting a 3.5-inch shell, I mean, if you're not stationary, it's going to knock you down. And I just leaned out and boom, popped him. And then like FaceTimed you guys screaming and hollering. I'm like, I'm not wearing a tutu now, boys.
We were all jacked.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Everybody was at work being responsible again, I think. And here I am being unresponsible. I'm like, yes. So finally, wow.
Talked to you on the phone, and then like it wasn't even 10 minutes later, you're
It
calling
wasn't
me.
even that. I think I texted you and I was like, hey, I'm going to go try it. And then I called you like 8 minutes later.
Yeah, it was
I'm like, dude,
crazy.
it's done. I killed one.
I'm like, no way.
Yeah.
Oh, those late morning birds after you've been working your ass off, and then you're about ready to be like, oh man, I ain't gonna kill shit, and then all of a sudden shit just goes good. And
Like, I wish it happened like that every year, but then, I mean, it'd still be fun because you're still killing bird, but it's the challenge, I think, that keeps driving you back to it.
it does.
Well, and then you got to stay in shape if you're going to keep doing barrel rolls,
Right.
somersaults, and
I stretch. I do morning stretch.
That's good. That's
Yeah.
good. Get your Pilates going.
Yeah. Do a little- I call it turkey yoga.
Hey, whatever it is, it's worth it. We need to get Chris into that.
Downward facing gobbler.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go. So, I know that before you went through and you did your barrel roll, and I know Levi's got them good and tight and stuff before, but dude, and I know people probably don't believe us, but I know me and Levi's had good stuff with hacks and stuff like this. Did you guys have anything this year that made you kind of go, ooh, shit, there might be something to this stuff?
Yeah, 100%.
I think like that movement I did
Right.
because he was closer than, with Turkey's vision, they can see you before you can pretty much see them. So I think even the movement I did, and when I pulled my gun up and like leaned out of that bush, like he was locked in on me. So I'm like, yeah, I'm a firm believer after that.
Yeah,
100%.
It's amazing stuff. Did you have anything then?
Yeah, oh yeah, 100%. I mean, once I got my hex, and then I wore it. For one, it does work, and number two, I like, especially when it got hot. It was so hot out during turkey season. I mean, I was literally
Just peeled down.
Just wear
to it.
that.
wearing my underwear and my hex. I mean, it was perfect. And then it's the stuff that we got for
Yeah.
spring is awesome.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know that when me and you and your dad would go, I mean, there's 3 big boys out there.
Right.
And it makes just a huge difference. And then when we went, shit, dude, we completely passed this part with Kaylin. We didn't even talk about when we took her to youth season.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, we'll bounce back to that one.
Yeah. But, I mean, we had a blind because, I mean, she's still getting into it, and she's a teenage girl. She's fidgeting, just will not, she does pretty good. But there's a lot of this and that of her moving around. So we went out there, got this blind all set up and everything, and all of us had some on because she was wearing Danielle's hex and everything. And then, but as it usually goes when you get me, Levi, and her together, it was almost like the Three Stooges out here. She's trying to figure this out, figure that out, dude. She'll hear like a cricket like in the tree line, and what's that? Yeah, what's that? What's that? And then we're like, hey, we need to keep moving. Okay, I can't see. I can't do this. Well, what you can do is you can shut your mouth because we're getting close. So we get all set up and everything, and I mean, it was a good time. At the very beginning, we went through. Levi and I got this set up. We got her sat down and everything, and we're hearing birds left and right, and we'll just get to the good part. So finally, a whole bunch of these hens come out, and Levi's sitting here and he's calling these toms, and I mean, dude, they will not shut up.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just hammering.
And they're not far from us at that point.
Yeah, and just hammering. And then all of a sudden these, my camera goes off, and I got these 6-8 hens. One's a bearded one, comes out, or goes on my camera, and then there's 3 toms behind them. So these hens come out, and we're watching them, dude. They're out there feeding and stuff, and me and Levi are just like on this tree line, just waiting for these toms to come out. Nope. So he'd keep calling, and I mean, they're hammering, wanting to do it, just won't do it. Well, Kaylin is sitting there, falls asleep. Like I hear, and I look over and I'm like, what are you doing? So I'm like,
how's that even possible?
Yeah, I'm like, well, I mean, it's whatever. It's like, it's your hunt. You can have at it. So all of a sudden, shoot, I bet they're 250 yards away?
Probably,
when they started hooking back.
Yeah.
And they started hooking back and coming back around towards the blind. And Levi's like, hey, I think one of those is that bearded hen. Well, from my angle, I couldn't see nothing. So I was like, for real? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, do you think Kaylin would want to shoot her? And I was like, oh, absolutely. Like this girl, her fingers been itching for years to shoot something. So she's over there, like I said, she's... So they're coming around, I think, 50, 60. I mean, they're beelining it right
they're closing in fast.
To the left. So I kind of lean over and give her a nudge. I'm like, hey, wake up. And she does the, yeah. And I'm like, shh, shut your mouth. Like, they're coming right here. And she's like, okay. Well, then she's like, where? And I was like, to the left, but hold still. Doesn't hear a word I say, dude. Like, rips down part of the blind to like look, and I'm like grabbing him, like stop, chill out. So they keep coming through and everything, and we're like, hey, do you see the one with the beard? She's like, yeah. We're like, well, it's a hen, but it's got a beard. You can shoot it if you want to, or we can keep trying to work these other toms. She's like, nope. Comes in, I'm killing it. So comes in, we're getting her all set up and everything, and she comes in, makes a great shot. I mean, just blasts it. And I got that on video. And if you look behind that bird when she shoots them, well, we're expecting them to be another 5-10 yards packed into the decoys. So I got my GoPro set up there on the decoys. Well, if you watch that video, it's hen, shotgun blast, GoPro. And somehow she did not hit my GoPro. So we go out there and everything. It was great. We were all excited for her, happy for her. But the thing I wanted to get back to is with the hex. I mean, had 3 of us in that blind. Like I said, she's in there snoring. I mean, they're making their way right to us. She's ripping down the side of the blind.
We're in that blind that's see-through.
Oh, yeah.
And that sun, once it came up, I mean, it was brighter than hell in there.
Yeah. Levi kept saying, he's like, dude, like, I don't know if this is gonna help, because the sun was just absolutely beating us. And I was like, what do you mean, dude? It's not, dude. I'd turn around and Levi's face, where he didn't have his gator up, was just glowing.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yep.
But we went through and had that. It was awesome. We were super excited for her. She, just had the shakes.
Oh, yeah.
Couldn't control it, couldn't speak, and then she couldn't wait to get on the phone.
I still get the shakes. Like, I did a Snapchat video, like, right when I walked up on it, like, before I called you guys. And like I hardly could even understand myself. I was just like doing that. I'm like, whoa, what are you trying to say?
Hold on here. I'm supposed to be professional.
Yeah.
Calm it down.
But no, I get too wound up. I mean, even when Trenton shoots one, if I'm with you and you get one, I'm just,
Oh, dude.
I can't control it. I get so excited.
Which is
This is
awesome.
why I love doing it.
We back to youth season stuff. So one of my good friends, Zach Sharp, we took his boy out one day, and then
You like to push that down and not speak into it.
oh, there we go.
Whoa. There you go.
Nailed it. So anyway, we took River out, and it not a good morning. But so then the next day, I text Zach, and we got all kinds of stuff we can go hunt and turkey wise. And I text, he said, "Yeah, not too good this morning." It was, I don't know, 9:30. And so I said, "Hey, if you want to go try this spot, which he knows the place." And I was like, "That I would go there because it's a good late morning spot." So I drop a pin, and within 15 minutes, I get a Snapchat of his boy shot at Jake right out of the gate. They walked in there, sat down. Zach's like, "We didn't see no birds going in." We sat down. I called her to gobble, and next thing you know, 3 Jakes pop out, and they're coming right to the decoys, and there was a giant gobbler behind him, but he was acting all leery, so he said the 3 Jakes ran in. Rivers never shot a bird. He's 10 years old, never shot a bird, and Zach was going to wait, but then he's like, "You know what? It's my kid's first bird. Just let him get it done." So he shot one that morning, first bird he ever shot. Another youth bird dead.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
So yeah, our season definitely right off the bat. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, dude. I was all cocky and arrogant. I'm like, holy shit, dude, we're gonna put some hurt in. I mean, we got.
I did too, yeah.
I mean, you got your youth bird. We got Kaylin a bird. All 3 of us got one, and then you went through and got one. And I'm like, dude, we're badass sons of bitches here.
Yeah.
But, like everything we talk about is go, and then everything decided to take a left.
Yeah.
I mean, Levi hunted. Jesus, good Lord, what was it like?
Well, I had second season too, and I ended up shooting that bird first morning of second season. So I was still going pretty good at that point. But then, yeah, everything freaking turned for the worse. But that second season bird, I actually have permission on a farm north of Chris. And he's like, "Oh, there were some birds gobbling over in here. And, we've seen them across the road over on that you can hunt." And so I rolled in there. I'd never turkey hunted it before in my life. And I rolled in there and could not buy a gobble anywhere. There was coyotes howling, no birds gobbling on our side. I could hear the birds gobbling over on Chris's and the neighbors to the west of Chris. And I'm like, well, shit, I don't think we're going to get anything done. And then it was after fly down. We heard one light up at the northwest corner of what I can hunt. So we jumped back in the truck and flew over there, got out, beeline to that corner, got set up, and that bird just kept working north. And he got up there to the north timber and just kind of kept working around to the east. I don't know if he was going to loop around, but I mean, he was going away from us. And we sat there and worked him for, I don't know, probably half an hour or so. Nothing. Finally, I told Dad, I said, well, we might as well give up and, go hit one of our other farms. And, dude, we no more than stood up, and Dad looks over by the truck, and he's like, "There he is." And I'm like, oh, shit. Well, with the hex on, we were standing up. We hadn't pulled the decoy or anything yet, and we just slunk back down into the shadows, got set up. I gave him a set of yelps. Dude, he freaking hammered. Here he come. He was probably 300 yards from us at that time, and he had come out of the neighbors west of Chris, across the railroad tracks, across the road, and up the lane right past the freaking truck.
Is he down?
Not yet. Not yet. And
You better watch them teeth.
so I couldn't believe it because he's standing, I don't know, 80 yards up the hill from the truck. Like, he had to have just come by there.
Levi, was he down?
He's down. God damn it, Chris! You eat now. Yeah, I just shot him 5 seconds ago.
But yeah, I mean, it's and I mean, how many was that the beginning of second season?
Yeah, that was opening morning, second season. Yeah.
Okay, I must be getting myself confused or was it? It must be. Oh, yeah, because you didn't have fifth, you had second and fourth, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and then now we're making sense because I remember you were going through once. We were talking and you were like, "Dude, I've been up for 15 mornings straight or something."
Oh yeah. After that,
yeah.
Yeah, because I ended up going to Henderson County, trying to do some guiding and calling over there for some people, and then back into Warren County with Dad, I think it was, or Knox County. I don't even. It's a blur at this point, but
Right.
It was like 14 freaking mornings in a row before I ever saw another turkey die.
Yeah, that was crazy. So before we get much further into this, we got to go through and say thank you to our sponsors. So one of my interactions I went through, talked with Lewis, and he made me kind of get the itch to go through and try to shoot one of these with a bow. So I went and said, all right, we're going to do this. We're going to see what these wreck broadheads can do. So that kind of made me think of this. So we're going to go through and tell you guys to go through and check out Wreck Broadheads. Let Matt know that you found out about him through us and everything. We greatly appreciate that. Everything. He's got a new head that I believe you can go through and buy now. His new the HXP. I just never can get his HXPs, dude. These things, we can't wait to get our hands on some and start putting them to work this fall. These things got a cutting diameter. They're amazing. Go through. You can find stuff on YouTube. Go through and check them out on Facebook. Matt and them went through and had them last fall, and you can just see the straight devastation these things are doing. They're
nasty.
They're incredible. And then speaking of Lewis, go make sure you go through and check him out at Dominant Strands Bowstrings. Lewis, like I said, was talking to me about doing some bow hunting for turkeys, and we're actually I got a story with him later on, so make sure you keep listening and everything. But I'll tell you what, dude, the more and more that I'm talking with Lewis and things like this, and I'm finding out more and more about bowstrings, dude, it is such an essential part of your bow as a whole on how it shoots, performs, and all this stuff, and it's absolutely mind-blowing, so make sure you go through and check him out. And then we got down with Jeff with ECW Hunting Calls. Jeff went through and got us some slate calls and some box calls and stuff for turkey season this year. We used the shit out of them. I noticed, and still getting into the turkey game, that there'd be times I'd go through, do the mouth calls that Levi gave us, really wouldn't get something, wouldn't get anything. Dude, I'd go to that box call a little different, or that slate call, and it just seems like that tiny tone difference, man, it would go through and fire them up. So make sure you go through and let Jeff know down at ECW Hunting Calls that you found him through us. We greatly appreciate that. Dude, his stuff it's almost artwork in a way in some of the ways he does his stuff. And I believe he goes through and gets all of his stuff local and everything. He's a veteran, so that makes it even better. So, all right, we're going to jump back into this. So where were we at? Second season with you, right?
Yep.
And then, Chris, you didn't have second season, right? So we're in the third season now, right? Because I believe, did or did not know your dad had third season?
Yeah, Dad had
third season.
That's when the big chase began.
Oh yeah. Yeah, but that finish up that second season hunt. We looked over, saw that bird standing there, and dude, I shot him a set of yelps, and here he come. It just picture perfect on a string, 300 yards across the field, right to us.
Walked right by the truck.
Yeah, right by the truck. Comes right to it. I mean, he'd come 100 yards, he'd stop, gobble, strut. Come 100 yards, stop, gobble, strut, and then worked right in. He actually tried to skirt me, and I ended up shooting him about 40 yards once he got up there. But, I mean, picture perfect.
And that bird would have crossed the creek, railroad tracks, and a road. Seriously.
Yeah.
That's 100%.
Well, of course it's not. What, you think Levi's a liar?
No,
you think he's going to go through and say this and it didn't happen?
No, I'm just saying. That's what's cool about it is that, just to say that, those birds sometimes will hang up on shit, but that bird made that big cross,
He wanted what Levi was putting down.
Oh, yeah.
And that's what I hear people too, like, yeah, I had this turkey across the creek and I just gave up. It's like, He's like, they never cross creeks. Like, if they want to, they will.
Oh, yeah, they will.
Absolutely. Because there's down at my place, dude, they cross that creek all the time.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Going to that south property.
Well, and just like the fence, you hear a lot of
Yeah.
times too. Turkey won't cross the fence.
It's like,
Oh yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, those turkeys go through that fence over there where you're at
Nonstop.
every day.
Every day. Yeah. So, okay, so we're in the third season. I know that I had, God, did I have third? Yeah, first, third. I don't remember. It's all a big blur like you were saying. But I know, like Chris was saying, like, this is where I know for the, well, kind of sort of Levi. But for me and Chris, dude, I mean, this was, dude, busting ass, working hard to go through and find these birds. I've never worked so hard chasing after birds in my life.
Well, and they got so damn henned up.
yeah, they do.
Third season and fourth season.
Yeah, because I was actually the property that I hunt. They were nice enough, and were talking to me about it, and they were like, "Oh," and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm seeing them, but it's just not quite happening, and this and that." And they're like, "Well, go over here, go to this other place." And I'm like, "Well, I'm not trying to be that guy." And they're like, "No, we don't turkey hunt." They're like, "Dude, we see them down there all the time. Have at it and everything like that." So now I have 3 good places. Well, I'm going to rewind. So I think it was opening day of third season down in that other farm that me and you've talked about and everything. And Levi's sending me text messages and saying, "Dude, if I was a bird, this is where I would be at," and everything. And I'm like, sounds good to me because I've seen them out there once or twice, but I have no real idea. So I go down there and sneak down on this bottom. And again, like I was saying the first time, dude, when I'll go through and watch these birds, and I'll be like, they're over here, over here, over here, so I'll go over here. No, sure as shit, I go in there thinking they're going to be roosted up a little deeper in there and stuff. No, I'm sitting down, dude, it's all of a sudden one's deep in the timber, and I'm like, hell yeah, here we go. It's going to happen, this and that. Dude, and one of them, dude, I swear to God, this bird was 10 yards behind me, just hammered, scared the living shit out of me. And I mean, dude, when he was so close, like I heard him rustling his feathers when he went to take off. So I have my decoys and everything out there, and this is after, like I said, I talked with Lewis, so I'm like, man, I'm going to do with the bow, because like I said earlier, I'm thinking I'm, the turkey man now. I'm going to, killing these things are easy. So dude, this bird pitches down to my left, and he lands 5-8 yards away from me, and I'm like, holy shit. Then I'm starting thinking, I am a bad son of a bitch here, like this is going to happen. Dude, they came out, and I know we've talked about this on other episodes with like the decoys, how they kind of become curious, but then they get skittish. They just don't quite like what it is. Well, I had my GoPro out and I watched, and I thought maybe it was me moving, because I thought it was I moved and then he moved and left. Well, after I watched the GoPro, it was the complete opposite. So he goes through and he starts turning his back while I start sitting up, and I mean, I'm slowly sitting up, and he goes through, gets to that Jake, and he just kind of like looks at him for half a second, and he just turns around, and he's like, nope, and he just beelined it out. There was another Tom, probably about 15, 20 yards to my right, and he was slowly coming in, but once he saw that one take off and skirt, he didn't like it, he took off, but so then I'm getting all upset about that. So that's when I talked to my neighbor, and we're sitting there, and she's like, oh, go take this way, and we can go. So the next day, I went back to that original spot, and turkeys moved. They weren't quite where that, so I went to the teardrop where he was telling us that one time. And I'm driving, and it rained. It's a muddy son of a bitch out there, so I'm clomping and smacking, and dude, and it's everything. And all of a sudden, because I'm still trying to find this spot, and I'm like, oh, it's going to go this way. So then I turn, and I just start looking over on this hillside, dude, and there's 6 toms just all puffed up, ready to rock. I'm like, holy shit, like this is going to happen. So as I'm start cresting up on this, and I look just a little bit more, and there's like 3 hens with them. And then they start going the opposite way. And I'm like, son of a bitch. Dude, I'm belly crawling these bastards. Dude, I get back home. My wife is like, what is wrong with you? Dude, I'm drenched, complete. My belly's black from crawling. But I did crawl into about, I would guess about 30, 35 yards. But the problem is kind of with you were talking with Chris, with that like a crest of a hill was right there.
Yeah.
So I could get up just enough, like just so I could see them. And I'm like, oh, they're right there. Well, I couldn't, and able to shoot. I'd almost had to like tripod my one arm and lift up, and it was just awkward. But I went through and chased them bastards all day. Went down, sat in there, dude, and they just tight-lipped real quick after that.
Yeah.
It seemed to be that way late season this year more than I've ever seen. Usually, midday, you get a bird fired up somewhere if you got a lot of spots to jump around to. This year, it just didn't seem that you could get that going.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why, but
I don't know if you guys saw it though, but like you were saying, dude, it's almost like even in the later in the morning, dude, they were still henned up. Like they didn't break off.
they never got off of them. Yeah.
Yeah. So then I'm looking at Brett and I'm trying to sit here and remember it. But you were done though, right? Because were you were
I had 4th and 5th.
You had 4th.
Yeah.
We jumped around a little bit.
I think I hunted a couple days 4th season.
Yeah, we went together.
Yeah.
We hunted the feminine gobbler.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
We crawled up on him,
yeah.
but just,
But I spent 6 days or 5 days of my 4th season hunting the same bird. And he hung out with 2 jakes,
you know,
did the same thing every day.
Except for the day you were there.
Well, I mean, every day we were there, I watched him do the same thing. Well, Brett tagged along with me, and we get out there, and he does the exact opposite the day we were there. And then we end up crawling a berm probably 150 yards at least, and got right to him, probably 60 yards, 70 yards out in the field, and couldn't get no closer. Terrain wouldn't let us get any closer, so we just had to hang up there. Well, not trying to call very much, just purred and clucked, and he would stand there and gobble and go crazy, going strut, and not being able to see a hen, not seeing nothing. He wasn't going to come in. Well, then his 2 buddies end up coming out in the field, hung out for a while, and then the jakes took off and went back in the woods, and then he followed. And then after that, that was the last day I gave up on that bird. I spent too much time on him. Because that 5th season, I'm like, I could go hunt him again, but I mean, we just gave up on him. But we were close that day.
yeah. After that hunt, I was thinking of this invention. So you get your hats, and you just got a hen decoy that sits on top of your hat, like those hats that got those little fans on them that spin around. But a hen decoy on it, so when you're going through the brush like that, it looks like a hen's walking through.
As long as you ain't got some crooked ass neighbors.
I was just
That's
going to
true.
say, yeah, as long as you
That's
stay
true.
away from fence lines and you let everybody know where you're at.
Well,
Neighbors like, God damn, I'll eat that hen. That's a good eating right there.
Yeah.
Bam. Get
Hey,
your face
put,
blowed
hey,
off.
put like an orange tail fan on it, or like put orange stripe on it.
Right.
Let them know, like, hey, this isn't real. This is me.
No, we did pull that off pretty good
Yeah.
that day as far as,
Because
glassing and looking and figuring out where he
we
was
were
at,
both
but-
back and forth, like, should we do it? I don't know, man, if it'll work. And then they went around the corner, and then we started to do it, and then they'd pop back around the corner. It's like, well, now we can't do it. And then finally they just went back in this little, like, cove.
in that little pocket. Yep.
And then we were like, it's now, we got to do it.
Yeah, we did it, and it worked. I mean, it was awesome.
But I noticed that Gobbler, he was pretty smart, because when we did it, and he would just kind of keep strutting back and forth in that pocket, he finally just kind of went in the timber and just, you could barely see him, but he was just sitting there just watching. Just like,
Yep.
okay, something ain't right, but
Yeah, I know.
he's like, I'm not going to leave because I'm not really sure.
I don't even think I ever hen yelped at him.
No.
I think I just purred and clucked
Yep.
the whole time. Very little too. I'm
And
like,
he never left. I mean, he just kind of sat in that timber and just kind of like looked back and forth.
but
like,
he
all
the
right.
whole time he's like, okay, I hear that. I know what that is, but I don't see shit.
Yeah.
That's where, man, that last 60 to 70 yards, it's for them to actually do it.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Because they always want that hen to commit to them.
Yeah. So he's like, man, if I see a hen's head, I might make a little bit.
yeah.
I might come a little closer, but I don't see shit.
Right.
And we left our decoys when we crawled them. We left our decoys. I told Brett when he got there, I'm like, dude, I should have brought that hen because we were on this berm. The grass was foot and a half tall.
Yeah.
So if I'd have brought the hen decoy, I could at least been laying in the grass and had her sticking her
Poke her
up
up a
and
little bit.
and at least give them that vision. But I don't know if it'll work or not. But
It was fun. I mean, just getting in that close. and
it
like,
was
you know,
fun. Yeah, no, it was a rush. It was
I
awesome.
felt like a lion, just like sneaking through the grass.
Oh, yeah,
Safari
it's-
is what I felt like.
Yeah, that's
It was
like I
sweet.
said, I definitely worked the hardest I ever have for turkeys and stuff, and did this and that. But I feel like I learned a lot
Yeah.
because trying to get them figured out and doing this and that, but they were just henned
I'll
up.
say every year I always learn something different,
Yeah,
or
which-
I should have done this. Or
Yeah.
of course, you go home like, man, if I would have done that, or if I would have done this, it's like you always start guessing yourself, like maybe I should have done that. Or
Turkey hunting is a learning experience every hunt
Yep.
for your entire life because everything is always.
and when you think you got them figured out,
There's no such thing.
complete 180.
I'm looking forward to next year because on the property where I went, dude, they were up on the northwest side a lot, and they were coming through this other little gate hole and stuff. So I'm excited for that because now I have one property and I have like three places I can sneak in on them. So
Yeah.
So I think that's going to be helpful because, like you were saying, to learn something else.
Yeah,
So okay, so that was third season.
that was four.
Third into fourth,
third and
and then
fourth. 'Cause I'm pretty sure I had fourth. Yeah, no, I did. I had fourth and fifth because I had it with Danielle.
yeah,
So, speaking of Danielle, so when we went, we were on, because I was telling her, because like I said in the past, dude, I mean, she ain't big, but dude, when we're walking through in the dark, dude, I swear to God, she's throwing rocks, setting off fireworks, dude. I mean, it's just loud as can be. So I tried to take her in different ways and all this stuff, and we were sitting there, and I got close-ish to where I wanted to go, and she's just, being a trooper and listening to this, listening to that. Hey, are they going to come out? Are they going to come out? And I'm like, shit, I sure as shit hope so. Like in the past they do. Because I'm sorry, let me rewind. Because the first day we went, I told her, I said, because she only wanted to go 2 days. I said, well, the first day, I mean, we're going balls in. I mean, if it's happening, it's happening. Well, again, usually they roost up a little back and on this side. Well, her and I crawl clear down past the gate, like we're almost in that corner. Dude, we're all the way down in there. Dude, we're sitting there. I mean, dude, I was so proud of her. She was a lot quieter. And we got snuck in and set up and everything like this. And the sun starts coming up, and sure as shit, dude, one just hammers. And I bet he's 20 yards behind us. And I'm like, come on, man. Like, go where you're supposed to go. So when I set these decoys up, like, you're coming the way that you're supposed to be coming. So they pitch down, and they go, the wrong way and all this other stuff. So we waited it out. And she's like, well, now what do you want to do? And I'm like, well, they usually come this way and this way, so let's try to sneak this. So we go and we get snuck. Well, on the neighbor's side, on the south side, there's a little hill there, a big berm, whatever you want to call it. And I got videos of her and I just sitting there, dude. I mean, they're just hammering. I mean, dude, it didn't matter what I was trying to do to them, just hammering. And she's like, well, do you think they're going to come? And I'm like, well, shit, they've came 300 yards already. Like, they're going to. Because they're probably going to come from the gate hole to your left and everything like this. Nope. Sat behind us, I bet, for another hour. Just hammering. Would not commit. So finally, she had enough. We went home. But then the next day, we went and sat up in the same spot because I'm like, we're not going to spook these birds in this tree line. I'm done with that. So we go through and sit back to where we were sitting, got just a hair closer. Well, we're sitting there, and it's dead quiet. And I'm looking at her, and I'm like, how is this possible? Like yesterday, dude, I mean, I could sit there and almost clap my hands, and they were just going insane. But this morning, we weren't hearing nothing. So then we go through, and about that time, all of a sudden, she just kind of pokes me, and back in that corner, she's like, hey, there's a bird. And I looked, and I was like, oh, shit. So I pull up my binoculars and look down that way, and it was a tom. And I was like, hell yeah, like this is finally, shit, this is what we're asking for. Have my one Jake out there with the hen. I figured he's just going to come through, walk that line, and we're going to be done. Well, another tom comes out, and they start going back and forth and everything. And then to the right of us, somehow these other hens come out of nowhere with another tom, and they start moving around. And I mean, they're like almost in a circle. I'm like, this is great. Well, the two toms start chasing these other hens, and these other hens run off. And I'm like, oh, here we go. They're done with those hens. They're going to come to mine. Absolutely. Dude, it was so calm and so still down there that I think that's what kind of dicked me over because they were coming in. Dude, they came into 50 yards. I mean, I could hear them, dragging their feathers on the dirt and all this stuff. And I'm talking to Danielle and everything, telling her to get ready. Like, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. But I think that was what my problem was. I think if I had my Jake decoy or my hen or something just to give it a little teeny tiny pop of movement or something, I think it'd have been better. Because like I said, those other Jakes and other toms and hens, when they came through, it was almost like they were running them off.
yeah.
I don't know if they do something like that.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure.
They
Yeah.
came out and they were kind of puffed up on them and everything. I mean, they'd be hammering, gobbling on them, kind of run them off. So I was like, oh yeah, it's going to happen. But no, nothing. So then Danielle said, nope, I'm done. So then we went back home, but I went through and thought about that. Do you guys put anything on your decoys, like strings or anything, to try to get them to bounce or anything like that?
No, I mean, I don't, but that motion is huge.
Dude, I went through and sat down and had a beer and thought deep into stuff, and I think I got something figured out with like a tent stake and a kite string and some of this other stuff.
They make shit that you can put your decoy on and that you can pull the string back to your blind and make it move. But that's on those days where there's no wind, that would be huge.
That's like you were saying earlier when you had that strutter out and it did that little movement.
Yeah, on the first one, yeah.
I was gonna say it don't take much, but when they're just sitting there dead still and never move an inch, turkeys will stand there and do that. We watch them every year, but for that, if they're there for a while and they keep looking at them decoys and they never move, they're like, okay, something ain't right here.
So like I said, I think I got something figured out, some tent stakes and some this and that, because especially the stakes on them birds, man, you just pull those a little bit, dude, they just, to me it looks like they're almost drunk, like they just sway, they just bounce back and forth that little bit and everything. So I think I'm gonna throw that in the old bag. You guys are costing me money for turkey season, because I also just went through and bought a different decoy too. So
I do that every year. It's like, well, I'm gonna buy this. I do the same thing with fishing. Well, that pole didn't catch on. Let's buy another pole.
yeah.
Yeah, because it's your pole's fault.
I know. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm like, wow.
If I got an extra super sensitive light,
If I buy a $200 pole, that's gonna catch.
How'd you guys do fishing tonight? Not worth a shit. My pole sucked.
Yeah, my pole was horrible.
I'd have caught the shit out of it.
I'm gonna buy another boat too because that one didn't take me to the right fishing hole. Yeah.
Okay, so you had Four Season 2?
Yeah, I spent it on the feminine gobbler.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
Then we bounced the fifth, and in all honesty, fifth season, I didn't have much going on anywhere. I think I hunted fifth season. I think I hunted. Oh man, I think three days.
I think I hunted 3 days as well.
Yeah, and killed a coyote. Was about it. Had birds coming on a farm that I hadn't hunted in a long time, and they were coming across the field. I couldn't see them because they're on the crown, on the other side of the crown. Well, they just quit gobbling, and so I finally decided to get on this fence line and sneak up and look over to see if they were out there. And when I did, there was a coyote standing in the field, and he went into the neighbors. And so I got down and crawled down this fence line, popped back up to look in the CRP, and he was probably 70 or 80 yards south of me. I purred and clucked one time, and that thing turned around and in a trot and came through the fence line at like, I don't know, 8-10 yards. And that was my fifth season I killed a coyote. That was it. But it was awesome, though.
I think that same day is when I had my coyote encounter.
Yeah,
too,
it was. It was right before that.
Because I called you, and so I had two birds that were roosted on the neighbors. I got to my spot. I was like, all right, and I put my decoy out, and I see them both pitch out. One kind of heads to the west, and I'm like, all right, one's still out in the field. I could just barely see him. I wish I had a video of it because it was just beautiful. The sun was coming up, and you could just see his tail fin behind the sunrise. I'm like, man, that's beautiful. I mean, I sat there, and then he was gobbling. You could see his breath. Like whenever he gobbled, I was like, man, this is like, this is beautiful. I'm like, if I shoot a bird right now, this is going to be 10 times better. Well, started purring and clucking, did a soft yelp, and he just comes out of strut and just like trots. And I'm like, this bird is dead. I'm like, this is awesome. So it's coming in, and all of a sudden, and just like hit the brakes and just stopped and then popped its head up. And I'm like, what is going on? I'm like, I didn't move, and like, they can't see me. And all of a sudden, just out of the corner of my eye, I see this coyote just hauling ass across the field. That's all it took. That turkey turned around and went back towards the other one. And I'm like, all right. So I started like lip squeaking at this coyote. I'm like, well, I'm gonna kill this son of a bitch. Ruined my hunt.
Yeah.
He come in. I've got all these like little like walnut trees through it, and he's like zigzagging through them like he's like at a dog show. is coming through. I mean, if I had a ramp there and a tube, I guarantee that thing would have went through it.
First prize.
Yeah, and he's just zigzagging back and forth, zigzagging back and forth. I got my gun just going back. I'm like getting dizzy from it. I'm like, screw it. I'm like, you can live to see another day, buddy. I'm like, because my eyes are like crossed now, trying to follow him through there. And I called you. I'm like, effing coyotes, dude. I'm like, I hate them all. I'm gonna kill them all this winter. And
Yep.
I never do, but yeah. So that was my last 5th season. I was like, well, okay, back to work, start planting corn, get done with it. So
Well,
That was
I think
it.
we skipped you. Didn't you have 4th season too?
Yeah, I had
no,
4.
sorry, Levi.
No, I just trying to keep track of everybody's. I'm going cross-eyed like Chris was talking about, trying to sit here and think. So yeah, and you got one on 4th season.
Yeah, I killed one 4th season. I think I hunted 5 days, hunted the same group of birds. Yeah, it was tough. Finally got him to commit like I don't remember what it was, day 3. And I had 2 of them roosted over this creek down this little bowl where I've shot them before. But the grass had gotten so tall because it warmed up. We'd had that rain and
It
everything.
exploded for 4th and 5th season.
So I'm like, I'm going to sit right on the edge where this ridge drops down into this little bowl, and they should pitch down right on the side of the ridge and work it right to me. Nope, they decided to pitch down and fly all the way across this bowl and land on top of the ridge above me. And they started working it down, and I mean, they were at like 35, 37 yards. I ended up stepping it off, but I'm shooting straight up this freaking hill, and somehow I missed. And so I got up and I went up there and I'm checking, see if there's any feathers or anything, and nothing. And I ended up hearing him gobble back to the east again. So I'm kind of walking back out, and next thing I know, I hear another gobble back to my west, and I sit down and I end up calling a hen and 2 toms back in, but I couldn't get shots at them. So I went back in and I thought, well, the next morning I'm going to sit up on that ridge, because they ended up roosting again that night in the same trees where they were. So I thought, I'm going to sit on top of this ridge and I'm going to get them to pitch across here right on top of me again. But they ended up pitching down and going north, and I stayed there for a while, and there was 3 toms there and then 2 toms to the north, and that 3rd tom, for the last couple days, when he would pitch down, he would go north and come out into this corner of this field. And so I thought, okay, day 5, I'm going to go in here. I'm going to come in from the north, and I'm going to get in that north corner, and I'm just going to kind of sit and wait him out. And got in there, couldn't get set up where I wanted to in the dark. The grass was too tall on the field edge, so I found a spot where there was a limb kind of out into the field, and the grass was lower there because of the shade and everything. I just got tucked back up in there, and they started gobbling, and I gave him some soft tree yelps, and next thing I know, dude, he freaking pitches down, and he's like 40 yards behind me, just hammering on the ground. Can't see him. There's a big brush pile there. And I thought there's probably a 75% chance he's going to come around to the north side of this brush pile and come out in the corner. And hadn't heard nothing, and I had 2 crows fly over me about 15 foot above me, and they got right over top of him, and they just started going crazy, and dude, he freaking lit up, and he is 20 yards to my right. And he pops out on the field edge, and he sees the decoys finally, and he comes in full strut, and he's just sneaking down through, and he wasn't even going to take a straight line to the decoys. Like, he was cutting in between the decoys and me, and he was going to circle around them that way. And finally, I had to shoot him because he was like, I think I shot him at 12 steps. If I'd have let him get any closer, I'd have shot him from me to you.
Right.
I mean, it was crazy.
Off the hip.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, not even raise the gun.
But yeah, that ended up being a hell of a bird. So
Yeah, that
saved the best one for last.
Slammer.
So now we're in the 5th season, right? Everybody said something, right?
Yep.
Got all my ducks in a
Yep,
row
you're
so
good
far.
now. Yep.
Okay. So yeah, so 5th season comes around, and then like I said, I was talking with Lewis and stuff. Well, poor guy was down where he was at, and he's like, "Dude, I haven't even heard a bird." He had one interaction with one tom, I think at one point, and I hope this wasn't a secret because I'm telling everybody. So he goes through and he pulls back as he's sitting on a chair, pulls back, chair gives out, feet go above ass. Dude, his feet are straight up in the air. Dude, he sent me a picture, a Snapchat. It's just him laying on the ground, and dude, yeah. Then he said he went through and bought a new chair. He's all good to go. But yeah, he said he just bought some cheap chair, and this bird was coming in about 8 yards. As soon as he was pulling back, it just went feet above ass, and he was just laying there on the ground. One of those, like, this is how my season
Yep.
is.
Yep.
So I told him, I was like, hell yeah, dude, come on up this way. I was like, dude, I'm not saying that we're going to shoot something because that's how my season's going. I was like, but I promise you, like, you're going to hear him, you're going to see him, it's going to happen. So we went up on the northwest part of this property because the beginning of 5th season, as I was leaving, getting all pissed off, these damn birds don't want to listen. They're not doing what they're supposed to. They should let me kill them, blah, 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 blah. So as I'm literally leaving to get on the road, I catch out of the corner of my eye 4 fans. And I'm like, man, I'm probably just, wishing so hard that that's what it was. So I stopped, put up my binos up. Oh, yeah, 4 toms down there, completely all puffed up and everything. Well, there's a farmer's road, I guess be the best thing you call it for them to get their equipment in and out. So again, get my fat ass, and I'm trying to like lower down far enough that where I can see, squat, like run, walking, and everything. Dude, my legs are on absolute fire, and I getting closer and closer and closer, and then all of a sudden I'm like, holy shit, this is gonna work because they're sitting there again, not giving 2 shits about me. Well, I start belly crawling, and I'm belly crawling completely covered in water and mud because, like we were just saying, like that grass ring was so tall.
Oh yeah.
I think it was muggy that day too. I didn't like.
Oh, dude,
muggy
it
morning.
was awful. I was so happy and so mad at the same time. So I go crawling down there and everything, and I'm getting closer and closer, and I see kind of they're going to go into the timber, and I'm like, all right, I'm kind of sort of towards me, and I'm like, hell yeah, well, I need to step it up a little bit and keep moving. So I go through and keep going a little more, a little more, a little more. Well, they end up beating me. So I'm like, all right, whatever. Best case scenarios, or I got some information because Danielle's got 5th season. Lewis is coming for 5th season. And I'm like, dude, there's birds there. Worst case scenario, I'll take Danielle one place. I'll stick Lewis in another spot. We'll be good. So Danielle goes with me the day before Lewis shows up. And we're sitting there, and I'm like, hey, they're going to come out this way, and they're going to come around. Like, it's happening. Like, shake hand on it. It's happening. So we're sitting there. I mean, they're hammering. And all of a sudden, it gets kind of quiet. And all of a sudden, you just hear this. And Danielle whips her head around, and she's like, what is that? Dude, the farmer's bull got out. And he's hitting a freaking humongous hedge fence post with the tree growing next to it. Dude, I mean, full-grown bull. Hitting it, dude. This tree, it's like stuff you see like on a Jurassic Park. This whole tree is just bending back and forth. And Danielle's like, is that going to hurt anything? I was like, well, sure as shit ain't going to help. So he goes through, and he comes walking by. Well, her and I are kind of tucked up underneath this tree a little bit. And he goes through, and he stops, and he looks right at us. And she's like, is he going to hurt us? And I was like, no, he's fine. He sees people and everything. As the whole time I'm sitting here thinking, I'm like, dude, if this motherfucker starts running towards us, you better run.
Or start shooting and then
Something. Well, she only has her crossbow.
Oh,
so all she was going to do is piss him off.
Yeah.
So he eventually goes through, and he walks out and walks by and everything like this, and he meanders back into the fence, and he goes through and takes off. And she's like, that was a bull? And I was like, yeah. She's like a bull, like bull rider's bull? And I was like, yeah, it's a bull. She's like, I could have died and you lied to me. Going on and on. She's like, I seen what those things do. And I was like, yeah, but I'm not going to tell you that as we're going on because you'd freak out and start taking off. Yeah. So the bull finally leaves. And then, dude, no joke, dude, dead quiet. I don't know if it was because of the bull or it was just whatever was going on. But I mean, dude, we sat there for another 45 minutes, didn't hear a cluck, didn't hear nothing in the distance, absolutely nothing. So I was like, all right, so then we left. Lewis showed up later that night. We all got up together, and I was like, hey, these are where these were at, X, Y, and Z. And I was like, if you're good, I'm going to take Danielle with, because if they keep 2 or 3 of these keep coming out, if you're shooting one with your bow and you're shooting one with your crossbow, like we might be able to pull this off somewhat quiet. He's like, yeah, absolutely. So we go through, and we're all, oh my God, I think I'm getting myself all confused. But we all end up going, seeing I'm sorry, I'm wrong. So Lewis showed up, and him and I went. And when him and I went, he was going on and talking about, hasn't seen anything. And I'm like, dude, we'll see stuff. Well, there's almost like a little island sitting in the middle of this field for whatever reason. The farmer didn't take all the trees out and, and all that. So we're sitting there because I'm like, dude, when they come out at this point. So I think if we put our decoy up this way, they'll come out and they'll come around. Well, sure as shit, like I've said, my luck's been, usually they've been on this one tree line, kind of to the north or southwest of where we were sitting, is where they've been going because they pitched down in the farmer's field, their neighbor's field, and then they'd come out and then they'd come to where we're at. So we're sitting there and he hears them and he's getting all excited. He's like, oh my God, this is so much better. Thank God I'm finally hearing something, this and that. And all of a sudden, dude, I bet 2 hammer. And it was almost like a war zone because those 2 started hammering. Dude, there was like 3 owls up there going back and forth. And dude, I bet that one of those turkeys was, no joke, 15 yards away from us. He's all, yeah, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's going to happen, dude. They come out and of course didn't happen. They came where they wanted to. But again, like I was talking with the decoy stuff, they came out, looked, kind of saw, and I don't know if it was one of those things like, dude, that ain't Charlie. And then they're like, fuck this guy. And then he turns around and left.
That was the morning you got the good pictures, wasn't it?
That was the next morning.
Okay.
When we went through and got those. So then we're sitting here and we saw where they were kind of coming, and we could still hear them on the neighbor's side. So we kind of jumped over to where me and Danielle were sitting at before to try to get an idea. If they come out this fence line, as soon as they come across onto our side of the fence line, he was going to smoke one. Well, ended up not working and all that stuff. So, but it is what it is, and it was great. We went home. Now the next morning is when we went out there, dude. It was sitting here and still hearing some birds and stuff, and dude, also this fog. I mean, literally just watched it just roll in.
Yep.
We could just
fog
watch
here and shit that morning.
Yeah, my truck disappeared like in 2 minutes out there, and Lewis like, dude, we ain't gonna hear nothing. Turkeys aren't really big fog fans, and I'm like, okay, if you say so. I don't know about nothing with it. So I was like, do you want to leave? And he's like, nah, let's sit here and wait it out. Dude, and about that time, dude, it reminds me of like almost like out of a movie. It was like all of a sudden I get up to like look around and try to look because we can't see. And I look up and I was like, hey, and he's like, what? And I was like, dude, there's a tom like right there. It was like came out of the mist, full strut, full fan and everything like this. Dude, that was awesome. And then, oh shit, dude, I am getting confused. No, I'm sorry. We were sitting by the island that time because this one tom came out of that fence line. And came out, and he came out around the corner and just kind of showed up out of nowhere. So then we moved. And then this other tom, when we were getting ready to leave, yeah, that's what it was. We were getting ready to leave. And like I said, I couldn't see my truck, couldn't see it for nothing. And all of a sudden, I'm like, Lewis, dude, I think that tom's still out there. And he's like, for real? And dude, I mean, it was like an hour went by. And I was like, dude, I think that son of a bitch is up by my truck. So we're sitting here and watching, and we're trying to get it figured out. And like, dude, yeah, because I mean, he was right down that path, like I was talking earlier, where the farmer brings his equipment in and stuff.
Yep.
Dude, they're up and down on that. Well, this hen starts coming back. Well, that gobbler's following this hen, and he's like, oh, here we go. And I'm like, oh, thank God, finally something's gonna, go right. Dude, this hen comes through. This Jake comes out of nowhere, out of the fog, goes through, walks in front of us. Dude, we could have killed him 15 times over. This hen kind of comes close to us. Dude, this tom just stood out there 200 yards out, just puffed up, let down. Puffed up,
Gobbling?
let down. A little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
Every now and again.
Yep.
But every time Lewis would call at him, did he get all puffed up, come back in, puffed up, come back in. Well, we finally got him to come in 60 yards or whatever, but it felt like it took 3 hours. But, dude, that was one of those coolest things. It made me think about it when you were talking about, like, the sun in the back of the tail fan and stuff. Dude, it was, like I said, these turkeys just came right out of the fog, out of the mist and everything.
Yeah, that's cool as shit.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
So then that was my...
It's like, even though you don't shoot one, it's just like those things are what you remember too. It's just like, this is awesome.
Yeah, this is by far
beautiful.
my most memorable
I mean,
season as a whole.
In all honesty, like hunting in general, I mean, we've all got our kills that we remember, but I'd say for the most part, we remember, because it's not like we're killing every time we go out,
Right.
but just the memories of all the crazy stuff that happens is every year is unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much stuff that's...
Well, I'm going to have to cut us off here again because we got chatting away and we missed some more sponsors, and we're going to have to split this thing into a two-parter.
10-4.
10-4. So I'm going to go through, read this real quick with the rest of our sponsors. We got Wild Oak Whitetails Buck Lure. Won't be too long. It's going to be about, we're going to start getting a hold of Corey, let him know that, hey, get us our PP. as soon as you can so we can go through and start doing all that good stuff. Make sure you go check out Corey. Let him know that we sent you. Then Marath Welding and all that stuff. Dude, this guy, I know I say it every time, but he is always into something weird and different and odd. So when you go through and you follow him, he's boring holes in a machinery, hole boring. I don't know if you guys know anything about that. It's basically like your loaders and shit like this that get all wore out, and then he's putting new parts and bands and boring all that stuff out. So he's into that now. So it's always fun to see what he's up to. And then we already talked about it with Hex and everything, dude. I mean, it's one of those things to where I know for a fact all four of us were skeptical. I mean, we kind of had our questions and everything, but now I'm
a believer.
Yeah, we're not going out without it. And then we got Nature Made Jewelry. That's Levi's deal. Also with Natureland Realty. So if you need some jewelry done up, and all that good stuff, a nice necklace, bracelet, I don't know. Just get a hold of us. I'm sure Levi can make it out of some antlers, make you some good, pretty rings, earrings, and all that good stuff. He gets in touch with his feminine side and makes some real pretty stuff.
Got to get in touch with your feminine side every now
and again. And then if you ever, needing some, have some realtor questions as far as property, land, and everything like that, 100% go through, get a hold of him. He will get you hooked up, get you pointed in the right direction. There's a lot more to this stuff than I think people understand. So, if you got questions, definitely talk to Levi. He knows what he's talking about and get you pointed in the right direction. And then Backwoods Premium Wildlife Products, here before too long, man, it's going to be fall food plot time. I know we were talking about that a little bit before we got going on this, and I got some plans I want to do out of my property and everything with some of the backwoods stuff. And then I know we're going to go through and hopefully, let you guys know with what we're planting and see how all that stuff goes. This spring, summer so far has definitely been, I'd say, the most moisture we've had in a while.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's the corn and the beans and everything is just shooting up.
So last year we couldn't buy a rain.
Yeah, hell of a flip-flop from,
Exactly. So I'm really excited to go through and see how our plots and all that stuff turn out this fall. And then last but not least would be McKee Automotive. Get a hold of Dustin. Man, that guy is turning wrenches. Dude, if you want something as little as your child's little Fisher Price pedal, or the little Jeep thing that they got with the little battery, you want 20s put on that, he'll be more than happy to do that for you. Or you just need basic oil changes or custom lights put in or whatever, make sure you go through and get a hold of Dusty, and he will get you all hooked up. We can't say thank you enough to all of our sponsors. They're great and all that stuff. So as I said earlier, we're going to put this up to a two-parter, so we appreciate you guys listening to this one, and we will be back here in a few with the second half. Thank you, and we will catch you on the next one.